Right, an official good morning again. Welcome to the NEBOSH National General Certificate. This is, of course, our last class for the April session. A very short lesson, lesson 15, and in all of that, I left my book on the other side, so you give me a couple of minutes to go and get it, right? Not too long, I did mention that the objectives of today is to finish off lesson 15, which is the last part of chapter 4. We will say on record again that you all go down as one of the better classes we have had. I think I mentioned this to you last week. I remember that we have classes like every 2 months or so, every 2 to 3 months. So we had other classes after September last year. We had November and we had two in November, in fact, right? But we remember the September because they were a good batch, and I remember you all because you all are a good batch as well, right? Of course, with limited time, and I did mention that I have a bit of a cough, but it does seem to be only in the morning or late in the evening. And I think it's probably because of my sort of walking and cycling and whatever have you in the early morning or the late evenings, etc. Right? But in the limited time I said I have to influence, you'll remember we do have other courses at the school. Of course, you all need to focus on your exam, but some of the other courses that we would probably have coming up I think that you all should get into is the NEBOSH Process Safety Management. That's a nice course. That course picks up from where level 3 would have left off. Take a note of that. We have the NEBOSH diploma, but that's pretty much full for now. The next intake is January next year, right? And then we have oil and gas. There's 5 more seats remaining on the oil and gas, right? So oil and gas is this year, September this year, after your exam. Um, 5 seats remaining. Process safety, we really now started to build another class anyway, so it have some seats on that. Diploma next, and then there's a whole other range of courses that I wouldn't mention here, but I guess when we are having them, we can let you all know, like there's a nice NEBOSH risk assessment, there's a NEBOSH accident investigation. What makes them nice, if you wonder why I say nice, because all courses are good, is that well, it's the brand, it's the NEBOSH brand, and those courses don't really have any exams, right? What they have is like a workshop, like a project, but not your project, like a video, right? There's like a video of an accident. There's a video of a supermarket to do a risk assessment on very, very simple stuff. Those courses have 100% pass rate, but I don't have any plan right now. Those are short courses, like 3 Sundays. Accident is 3 Sundays, risk is 3 Sundays. If you all are interested, I'll be forced to have it, right? But if you're not interested, I really don't have it on the agenda plan. Maybe till about November, I'll probably get free. What I have on the agenda plan is that there's a process safety, there's the oil and gas, and of course, diploma is next year, February. Just give me a minute to get my book and we'll make a start to today's class. Right, thanks for that minute there, right? So if you have your books, we're gonna get to 4.3. So for last week now, the video, I did put it on the YouTube channel, right? I did look at it and realize that nobody has looked at it because it had no views, right? So I don't know if you all looked at it on the WhatsApp group, but I don't think anybody really had a look at it on the YouTube channel. It would have gone up Saturday night. I normally try to put them Saturday night, so that you all can get them as early as possible, right? Please remember, though, if again, this is beyond the point, but if you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. We are trying to reach like the 1K, 1,000 subscribers. We are about 25 people short of that right now. So you can help us along with that. And again, it's not a monetized channel. It's just to say that, like when somebody goes on YouTube and they click NEBOSH, it's gonna bring it up a bit faster. Like yesterday I saw a video I had for a safety video then, safety, which is just teaching. Like we have not put any extra emphasis on it, but it had, like thousands of views, right? And again, that's good because it's not really entertainment, it's really educational. But that 6,000 plus views is not from Trinidad, it's really from around the world anyway, right? So if you could help us out with that, if you haven't subscribed yet, see if you can do that, you're actually on your way out, right? So, I mean, if you're out and you're coming back in to do something else, fine, right? But again, like the channel has free content. You can get process safety videos there. You can get NEBOSH environmental videos. They're free. You can get some diploma, right? I kind of limit the diploma, but it have some diploma stuff on the YouTube channel that is free at the moment, right? All right, if you have your books, 4.3, so we would have looked at last week, like auditing, and we looked at a bit at reviewing performance, which was 4.4. So I think actually we have to go back to 4.2. We left it at accident. I did look at the video I said, so we had audits and we had a bit of the accident investigation. We spoke about the accident investigation form. And I actually, when I looked at the video, there was actually a past paper that we were doing. We mentioned, like a past paper question and that asked you all some questions on it. I can't remember if you all give any answers in the class itself, but we can take it up today from, let's take it up. Let's kind of review a bit. There's a bit of review here. So we can take it from, so the objective is to look at what RIDDOR says, that's a law in the UK and the accident book. And the revision would have been, what do you want to establish from an accident investigation? You could see that what you want to establish is the cause. They want to find the cause of the accident to prevent it from happening again. Techniques for interviewing witnesses and accident causation. So if you want to just put your books back on page 14 of chapter 4, we'll spend a minute on that because that's the main thing. And that was actually last week's class as well. But there's a reason for repeating it, and you all know the reason. The reason is that it had to be famous for exam, right? So let me just recap that a bit for you. So I don't know if you remember the whole theory that accidents have more than one causes. They are what we call immediate causes of an accident, and they are what we call the root causes of the accident, right? Anybody could remember, I'll say who, right? Like who is it doesn't have to be a who though, but I mean, I guess the who makes it easier to identify with, right? Like who would make up the immediate causes? Who
You,
contributes to, right, you. So the employee, if you want, you could put the employee there. Employees contribute to the immediate causes. And like if the employee would have had any unsafe act, just take this down. This is the main thing if you missed last week too. This, you can look over the whole video. You could just take this 5 minutes here and recap the whole thing anyway, because this is the main thing, right? So if the employee had an unsafe act, and a lot of passengers have it, the passengers will have an employee is using their phone while operating a forklift, right? They'll have the employee um, place their hand between two like compressing machines there, which they wasn't supposed to do, right? So the question would be, what are the immediate causes? Or they may say, how did the employee contribute to the accident? So what you're looking for, remember, NEBOSH is always about that bigger understanding. What you're looking for when you read the case study is what was the unsafe action, right? So that's how I put it here. Unsafe act itself is not an answer, but unsafe act is to tell you, like when you read the case study, you're looking through to see what were the unsafe actions and you're pulling those out, right? The other immediate cause, you see the voice kind of settling a bit. The other immediate cause is unsafe condition. Unsafe condition, right? So if you read the case study and you see they mentioned poor lighting, they said, two lights were blown, they were never repaired. They said there were cords, across the walkway. There were cardboard boxes, there were rags, there was oil, there was water. So you're looking for that. The immediate causes, remember, this is the question, eh? They could either say what are the immediate causes or how did the employee contribute to the accident? It's the same thing. What you're looking for when you read the case study is unsafe actions and unsafe conditions, right? So that wrap up a whole hour and a half class from last week. Okay, anybody else? What or who? Because I know it's what, but like I said, the employees are a who. It could be a what and like an unsafe condition is a what. Like water on the ground is not a who. That's like what. That's like what is on the ground, right? But anyway, anybody can remember who could be the main contributing factors for an accident if we say we're looking for the root cause?
Management.
It says the
Very
management.
good, very
Oh,
good.
sorry.
Nicola, Darren, say it again.
Management. I was getting an idea too.
Yeah, management, right? So yeah, so management, right? Again, remember, management is like a overarching statement, just like unsafe act is a overarching statement. When they ask you what are the root causes, what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to read the case study and see what the management was doing wrong. Now, sometimes it's apparent, you'd see they say, the manager said, this is your business. It have case studies in it. The manager will tell the safety, um, see how fast you can get the accident investigation done. So when you read comments like that, it will tell you, okay, so then you would say, in my opinion, the root cause is that the managers did not value safety. And then you say, this is seen where they said, hustle up and get the accident investigation done, right? When it's said in the case study, and there are many examples. Remember what I said. In fact, I'll talk about it in a bit. Let me finish up this, right? So like if you read again, let me see, I saw one recently, up to last night I was reading a case study, right? I saw one recently where it said that uh managers said they had lost, no, not lost, but managers said they were they didn't get enough contracts, right? So resources were limited then for safety, right? But resources would never be limited for anything else, like production then. So the thing about, remember the Nibosh case study is about 2 pages long. You sometimes have to turn that straw into gold. So you can't ignore an answer then. Like if you see they say, well, contracts are down, you could use that. You can say, well, the root cause is that managers' priority again may not have been safety, as it may have been on production, as they mentioned in the passage that they have lost contracts, or contracts are down. Therefore, there's not enough resources for safety, right? So the good thing, I mean, like I was gonna do this at the end, right? But because I'm doing the review, I could say it now. Remember, today's a short class. We're gonna talk about the exam anyway. But remember, the good thing about this exam is that the answers are in 2 places. You don't really have to do a lot of studies in it. The answer is in more than 2 places in it. I could give you more than two, but I'll give you two for now because I want to continue with the work, right? So the answers for any exam question, past or present, is in 2 places. Anybody know those 2 places? I'm trying to get the marker here to go. I've said it to you all before. Where are the answers? Like what? It have more than 2 places, but where are the answers for a Nibosh question today? The
So in the
answers
case
are
study,
right. Very good. One of them is the case study. So because of that, if you all understand that, I'm not to show us up with the marker, right? If you understand that, you understand that there's not too much of studies there. You could be familiar with your book, but the exam is more for working people, right? So like you don't have to really study the whole book or study the slides. The answers in the case study. I think I mentioned to you, it's like a comprehension. When you was back in school, right? And they tell you, I think I told you this story before, like Johnny and Jim, fell down, by the lake, and they ask any comprehension, where did Johnny and Jim fall? But the answer is in the passage. You read the passage and you get they fell by the lake, right? So Nibosh is like that, right? A lot of the answers you're looking for right in the passage, but remember how you had to phrase it. You have to say, in my opinion, you have to give the answer first, and then you tie in the case study. So you remember that, right? You cannot just put the line and you'll get wrong. So a good answer consists of the answer itself, which is your opinion. I don't know how to put that here, right? I just put OP, right? Which is your opinion. And for the life of me, the marker disappear again, right? So you put your opinion and then you give the line, right? So like if we go back to the employee here, they say, what are the immediate causes, right? And you read, the one I read last night, it had an apprentice was helping another apprentice. An apprentice had to induct another apprentice, which didn't make sense, right? So you say, if they ask you what was the immediate cause, you say, in my opinion, the immediate cause is a lack of proper training. So that's your opinion, right? It consists of the answer. The answer is a lack of training or a lack of proper communication from management. And then they say, this is seen where a 17-year-old apprentice was inducting another 17-year-old apprentice. If you say it like that, then you get it correct. Folks, tell me if you're okay with that, because to me, I think, you see, as much as we teach, remember, not everything does come. But if you'll understand what I tell you, and I've told you that many times, if you'll understand that, you'll pass exam, right? Every answer must have an answer. We call it an answer or a response, and it must be tied into the line. Once you do that, you're safe for the exam, right? Really and truly, it's an open book exam. You could look through the book to see if they have unsafe actions. Like what more they have under unsafe actions. You could Google it, you could get some unsafe actions, right? Employee running, using phone, whatever Google gives you, but you tie that back into the passage anyway, right? Again, a word to the wise here. If any one of you are familiar with AI writing tool, please do not use it for exam. Whenever you hear if somebody in class mention AI writing tool, or any site prompt you to use an AI writing tool, just know if you use that, you're going to fail, right? So NIBOSH has, remember, just write your lines to yourself. I know a lot of times you may see like a prompt come up on your Word document to use an AI writing tool. Please ignore those things and write your line for yourself, right? They have that part of the software they have picks up AI writing tools, right? So AI writing tools, again, if you're not familiar with it, could help you structure your sentences. Forget that. Leave your sentence the way it is. It don't matter if it's not perfect. Leave your sentence just the way it is. It don't matter if you spell a word wrong, right? They don't fail you for spelling. Once you say, in my opinion, or in my belief, the employee unsafe action or immediate cause would have been used, and you say it in your own words, right? Like not adhering to the company policy for cell phone use, full stop. And then they said this is seen in the case study where the employee was using a cell phone while operating a mobile equipment. You're getting that correct. Don't use anything to assist you, right? Again, if you still not understand what we say, remember we talk about NIBOSH being a world-class organization, right? And because of that, they have world-class software too. So don't feel you're fooling them, right? And in every class we have had, we kind of mentioned this. I have realized it more and more though that they're picking up the AI writing software. So don't use anything to help you construct your sentence. Leave your sentence the way it is. Leave it. If you find it imperfect, that's okay. That's okay, because see, it must have, if you have the two things, the answer and the line, you're still gonna get it correct. It don't matter if you find it's wrong, and once you have the answer and the lines, you'll get it correct. Don't use any software to assist you. Now, do we have any issues with that? We have any issues with that? Anybody? Don't use any prompts. Don't use any AI tool. Don't use any sentence construction. Nothing. Write your thing for yourself, right? And you'll be good to go. You'll have no fear of plagiarism, right? Same thing for your project anyway. All right, any questions? Nope. I said if you don't know what the AI writing tool is, very good. Because if you don't know what it is, better yet. But that means you'll never use it. But in case you're prompted to use anything, don't use it. Just keep your work for yourself. Right, so let's get into today's class. I'll stick to this slide, right? So in the UK, if you want to, so that was the review, but the reason for the review was the past paper. Remember I said that, right? Of chapter 4, what we just did here, immediate and root cause is very common. So going forward then doesn't guarantee a past paper or a future paper, but it does guarantee that we finish the syllabus, right? So if you could turn to page 25, you'll see the same setup here. There's a law for reporting injuries, diseases, and dangerous occurrence in the UK. It's known as RIDDOR. They wouldn't ask you what does RIDDOR stand for. That's too easy. But the moral of the story here is that if there's any serious injuries, there's any occupational diseases, you'll see them in a bit. If you want to turn the page, you'll see what we mean by diseases. You can turn to page 26. occupational diseases, dermatitis, vibration, hand and vibration, occupational asthma, occupational cancer, carpal tunnel syndrome, right? If there's anything like that in the company, they have to report it to the regulatory authorities in the UK, and I'll tell you who that is. But we have already told you who that was already in lesson one. But I'll say it again, right? If you look at page 26, if there's any serious injuries, fractures, I have it on the slide here too, right? But I take it from the book, page 26, fractures, amputation, permanent loss of sight, crush injuries, reading from the book, serious burns, scalping, uh, unconsciousness, right? Then those things have to be reported. And they both go through the same thing as this slide. For example, they tell you what are the injuries that are reported or reportable. They tell you what are the dangerous occurrences that are reportable. They tell you what are the diseases that are reportable. And that's the lesson finished right there. So um what I mean, what I could tell you is like they do not ask you then like what is what is 10 injuries that are reported. No, that's too easy, right? They don't ask these things outright like that. But what you have to do, though, you have to keep, I guess, your head on, because when you read the case studies sometime, right, they would say like there was a crushing injury and the worker was off work for 2 weeks. Well, if it's work for 2 weeks, well then you know it's a major injury. And they may say bone fracture, right? They may say one of this then, and then in your mind, if they ask comment on how the accident investigation, was done, what I'm trying to tell you, if you understand this today, that there's a law for this in the UK that if there's something that falls within injuries, diseases, and dangerous occurrences, they will have to report it to the regulatory authorities. And if you read the case study and it said that um, management did not report it, but then they broke the law. So you want to take that down? Like, I think that's a bigger learning here, that this is the law. RIDDOR is a law. And if when you read now, they wouldn't really specify, but if you read and you see, you kind of pick up, okay, what has happened is not first aid. They say the person's off work for 2 weeks, but then it's a major injury. If they say amputation, if they say bone fracture, well, then it falls under one of these things that had to be reported, right? Now, when we say reported, we mean like reporting to OSHA, but remember they do say OSHA in England, right? And as you read the case study, if it did say that that wasn't done, well, you could say, in my opinion, management failed in their duty to satisfy the law, and the examiners would be very happy if you could mention RIDDOR, right? They'd be happy to see that you know what RIDDOR stands for. But in this slide here, and then you can say this is seen in the case study where it was said, management said not to report, or we would not, make an issue of this or something like that. That hinted to the fact that the managers were not fulfilling the law, right? Tell me what you think. Other than that sort of approach for 2 marks, there is actually one question here for 5 marks. It came twice already, right? And if you're okay with how we could imply then that what happened in the case study is a breach of RIDDOR. Other than that, there's one 5-mark question here, right? Other than that, this doesn't come, right? So the 5-mark question is right here on this slide. Let me try to see if I can find it in a book for you. If not, we could pull it out from right there anyway. Tell me if you have any questions as well. Everybody okay? Right, so it might not all be in one page, but I do suspect around page 26. We'll have to probably read to get it. To the top of page 27 may have some of this. I'm trying to see where the five, but the 5 marks is on your slide here now, but I know those of us who like to use our books, right? Yeah, I think it's at the top of page 27, right? You can pick up some of the marks there. You may have to turn to page 28 to get some of the marks, right? But everything is on the slide for you all. Let's see what that is all about, right? Just give me 30 seconds and I would be back with you. Right. Okay, so I think like a way to start it is to say what the question was, right? And so what they have done, they have actually asked, so if you want, you could write it down. They have asked like, how should the employer report the accident? 5 marks. So how, if you want to write it down, how should the employer, if you check your book, you'll see it mark reported, page 27 to the top there. So remember, it's called an open book exam. In the event you'll forget any of this, you could listen back the video, the day of the exam, or just open your book and find what they're asking for, right? The heading is reporting, so you can't really mix that up, right? So they will ask, not will, but they have, I won't say will, but we haven't seen that question in August. We have not seen it in June. We haven't seen it then. A nice 5 mark question, right? So how should the employer report the accident, right? So let's kind of backtrack a bit. So we have to understand that what has happened here is a serious accident. It's not first aid, so the employer have to report it. Before I go on, anybody could remember, I have been saying the regulatory authorities. Anybody could remember who that is in England? Who is the regulatory authority? It's not OSHA, but what do we call OSHA across there?
Health safety executive.
Right, very good, right? So you could probably pick that up in your book if you start watching through already on page 27, on in the slide here, right? So what I'll do here, right? I'll read this for you and I'll pull out the five. So when I mean pull out the five, those are the 5 things I'll give you 5 marks then, right? So let's read it first. I'm just reading it flush, right? And I will pull out the five. So a responsible person must report RIDDOR events, which means serious injuries, well, not serious, but severe diseases, close dangerous occurrences, right? An injury or dangerous occurrence must be reported by the quickest practicable means to the enforcing authority, and a report must be sent within 10 days. Now, I say 10 days, but I'll show you just now the 10 days could change, right? By the responsible person on the approved form F2508. There's a link to the form here. If a personal injury results in 3 or more days absence, but does not fall into the category of major, a written report is just required. Occupational diseases must be reported as soon as practicable once written notification of the disease has been received. Also, an F2508A form must be sent, right? So just take a note of that. There is the main accident form F2508, but then they have a variation then for diseases, which is F2508E, right? So one form for injuries, one form for diseases then, and another variation for, if you look at your book, there's actually another one for dangerous occurrences. But I think that's something you could just Google in case they ask you. I've never really seen the ask dangerous occurrences. They have more than injuries, which is F2508, the main form. Let's pull out those 5 things for the exam then, right? So the first thing you want to pull out here is that you want to say a responsible person should make the call. And when I say make the call, well, it kind of in the notes there, you could actually pick up the phone and call, the HSE, or in Trinidad or in Guyana, you call the Ministry of Labor. But a responsible person, so you get a mark for saying responsible person. Remember, tell you the answers here, we're just pulling it out. Look at it already. Right? A responsible person must make the call. Now, that doesn't have to always be the safety, just to let you know that. Some companies don't allow the safety to deal with OSHA. That sounds funny, eh? Some companies won't, especially if you're new, like if you're a new person, they might not allow like if you're a new HSC then, it's your first month on the job, You just came out it in Nibosh. We're talking about Trinidad and Guyana here. But maybe there is a supervisor there who was over the last safety. Maybe there's a manager there, maybe there's a CEO, maybe there's the owner, and they have dealt with it with OSHA before. They have dealt with the HSE before. So you are new, so the responsible person is not always you. The point is when you become responsible enough, it would be you, right? But if you're young and you now join a company, 10 to 1, your manager may be the one to make that call. Um, it's just a brief call. You tell them that we are from Damas Oil, one of the workers fell down and sustain a broken foot, right? And once you inform them, then, you'll see a certain time to do the investigation and to follow the form and send it to them, right? So a responsible person is to make the call. We have, if you read this one, you're making the call by the quickest practicable means. You get another mark for saying this. Quickest, I just put quick here, right? So quickest practicable means, and that is understood to be telephone. Nobody uses fax anymore, telephone. I just put quick there, but it's actually quickest, huh? Quickest practicable means is understood to be a telephone call or in today's day and age, an email. WhatsApp hasn't, been that standardized as yet. This is phone, right? PHONE. So it's still going to be a phone call or an email that you'll have to make, uh, you know, to the regulatory authorities. And we mentioned, so point number 3, the regulatory authorities is the Health and Safety Executive in London. Well, those of us in Trinidad, of course, like I said, it's going to be it's OSHA. And in Guyana, it's the Ministry of Labor, right? On that street, they are connecting to Albert Street. I told you I walked that street many times. I walked in front of the Ministry of Labor there many times. I'm not too sure the name of the street, though, but I know Albert Street connects to that anyway. All right, so that's 3 marks. The other thing, if you could pull it out, is but it right there is that we have to use a particular form. Oh, by the way, there's something else to tell you here. So I don't know if you want to take a sub note here. But we could go to point 4. Just one thing to tell you there, right? There's a particular form. The form is F2508. That's the main form, and then there are different variations of it. I did mention to you all last week that I think somebody put it in the group chat. Yes, somebody did. I think Daryl did, and I opened it and we read it a bit. You could actually open the form, see what it have in it. You all know what it have in it. We discussed it last week. Anybody remember what it have in it? It's an accident investigation form. So what would it have in it? We already did this on last week too. What are some things you'll find in the form? Like what data you want to capture on the form?
The person involved in the accident,
Yeah.
the, yeah, the
Anything?
Name of the
person,
investigator.
Name of the investigator, the name of the victim,
The time and the date.
time and date, location, witness statement, right? What has happened? Is it like they have a tick box? Is it, but the fact that they're using this form, you know that you're reporting to the HSE means something serious happened. It's either going to be a serious injury, dermatitis, occupational dermatitis, right? Something serious then, right? If you look at the book, you see some, hopefully, I try not to say things like cancer and stuff because those things are not good things to talk about, right? But it happens. Occupational dermatitis, you could recover from that. The dermatitis is not fatal anyway. Carpal tunnel syndrome may have been there some time. I mean, like that is chronic. That had to develop over time, right? But if it happened and somebody got diagnosed with it, fine, you need to report to the HSC, right? You want to just cast your eyes in the books because I did tell you page 27. I didn't want to call 27 and not look at it. So let's go and look at it a bit. To the top there, we have one more pointer right here, but the reason for going to the book is because I want to add something here, but I wanted to see it. I want to see it for yourself, right? If you don't have your book, you can listen in, right? So the following explains how events must be reported. Can't get easier than that, right? If they ask, how should the employer report an accident, right? So they say most incidents, including fatalities, specified injuries, and dangerous occurrences must be reported by the quickest practicable means without delay. Anybody actually knows what that means? Like what does that really mean? The quickest practicable means. What does that really mean? Like how soon then? How soon? It actually have the reason why I'm asking it because it actually have a cutoff point. Anybody want to make a guess at it? This are reported by the quickest practicable means. Well, when is that? Today, tomorrow? You know, when is that?
Immediately. It,
Immediately, yeah. But they say you have until 12,
on
till
today's date.
12 a.m. then. So if it happened, I mean, God forbid, we could talk about something simple, right? They don't have, but I mean, these things are not simple, but things that are recoverable then. So we would not say fracture, we would not say these, we would say something like dermatitis. You could recover from dermatitis, right? So, you know, if somebody is diagnosed, the company doctor sees them, say, okay, what is on your skin there is dermatitis, occupational dermatitis, because you're in contact with a garbage bin or something like that, or dust on the machine shop floor. Well, if that diagnosis came in like 2:30, they have until like 12 a.m. then of that night then to report it. That's what is understood to be the quickest practicable means, right? These things are in our OSH Act now, just in case you all forget. Remember, the OSH Act is the HSW Act, and the OSH Act is, sorry, the HSW Act is the OSH Act in Grenada and Guyana as well. It's the same thing. We didn't change anything, but we changed it. We actually changed the money. We changed how much is the fine, right? The fine in the UK is 20,000 pounds. We put 10,000 TT. In Guyana, they changed it to 45,000 Guyanese dollars, which is like 1,500 TT dollars, which is not a big fine at all, right? But that's one thing we changed, right? So remember, it's the same phrase, right? Um, just to tell you, right? In case anything happen in your company, you have until that time frame, right? I'll give you a quick story. Yeah, I mean, the story is coming to end, or you like next week, you know, him and talk again, right? So like it had one in Dansteel, those of us in Trinidad and Guyana. Like Dansteel is like a huge hardware, the biggest hardware in the country anyway. You know, like the owners of that hardware, which actually passed away, were reputed to be the richest persons in Trinidad and Tobago. You know, so anyway, so they had one, and if I told you this, they had an accident that made it to Facebook. You know, a lot of things make it to Facebook now. And the safety at the time, now he's actually working for me, and he's actually at another company now, right? And it happened because of the pandemic, and long story short. Anyway, the point of this accident was that it was on Facebook, right? Like everybody, you know, there's something happened in the country, everybody in Trinidad and maybe Guyana is looking at it. But the company didn't want to report it. And he called me and he said, well, what to do? Because, you know, it's a serious accident. Um, but his manager said not to report it. And I say, report it. Because the fact that it's on Facebook means it can't hide. You think Ocean had seen it? Do you think somebody who not working for Ocean not seen it? Because if you don't report it, that's a fine, right? So I told them go back to management and tell them, you know, like they had to report it. You cannot not report it because everybody watching it on Facebook, right? So, you know, I mean, that's the kind of culture in Trinidad, though, for those on the international market anyway who looking at this video. If a company have an option to hide something, they will hide it. And I'm talking from experience here. But, you know, in a case like that, his managers are still saying not to report it. But the point is, OSHA would have picked it up and then the company would have been fined anyway, you know, for not reporting, right? All right, let's read on. Let's move on, right? So the second bullet point, fatalities and specified injuries can be reported by telephone to the HSC Incident Contact Center. So that's what this is here for, this dash. So the HSC is a big, you know, it's a government entity then. It's like when you call OSHA, there'll be other departments. But the reports, so you get a full mark. If you can say the actual department, it's called the Incident Contact Center or the ICC for short, right? So if you were an employer in England, you dial the HSE number, but you say, okay, can I be transferred to, I'm trying to get onto the ICC department, the Incident Contact Center, right? And so, like for exam, you see it in your book, did you all see it in your book? Underline it like I wrote it on the slide. And again, you all know when I start writing what's going on. It means I told it at the start of this is a 5-mark question. But if it comes, you know, I'm not Nostradamus, as they say. I told you that before. It's a me to tell you what is famous and what is not popular for exam. This is examinable. They have examined this slide before or on page 27 before. But other than that, not too much, right? All right. The last thing here, if I forgot, you may need to watch the table now on page 27. Yeah, there's a table on page 27. Just watch under the bullet points a bit. You'll see they give a time frame. Remember when I said 10 days and then I said the days may change? So they actually give you a time frame for different events then. So like fatality, written report within 10 days. See if you're seeing that, page 27. So that's what we kind of use, like the most common number of days is 10 days. So that's why we put 10 days on the slide. But the days could change then. The days to send the written report. Folks, you understand what's going on? You have to call them, when it happens. What did I put here? 10 days, right? But remember, you had to investigate now to fill out the form. What form? F-2508. You had to figure out, well, what was the employee name? What happened? What was the root cause? What was the immediate cause? Who were the witnesses? So they give you 10 days then, right? They give you 10 days to figure that out, right? But take a look at the table. Are you all seeing days beside in 10 days? In other words, what other days are you seeing beside in 10 days?
15 days
15 and then forthwith.
and then forthwith.
Right. Forthwith carries the same meaning as within 12 a.m. of that day, before the day rolls over there, right? So forthwith, if you don't answer what forthwith means, like I got in Parliament Massey for that. An accident had happened. They didn't want to report it, and I reported. Right? Now, I'm a consultant, so I really do already business. Remember, I mean, I could get work anywhere else. But I had to tell them, look, the law said you need report it forthwith. And I did educate them. This was the regional manager of Massey. I tell them, no, I had to report it, is the law of the land, right? And of course, they were upset, but they understood, they didn't really know what forthwith meant and whatever have you, right? So, like a lot of things are learning opportunities for everybody as well, So, not because you're like regional manager mean that you know everything, right? Somebody said the internet is unstable. Okay, not a problem then. Sure, we may have to get the full recording to you tonight, right? So that's it. This is the 5 marks here. What I could tell you though is for exam, if you see it, right? For exam, kind of refer back to this table now and see what they said in the case study. So if they said, the person was out for a month, the person that was injured, right, was out for a month, over 7-day injury, right? The book says over 7-day injury must be notified within 15 days of the accident. If the case study said the person has been hospitalized, I saw a case study like that, I don't know if you remember that. And when the meeting was held, the person was still in the hospital like 2 weeks after. So yeah, that's why you have to be intuitive in this exam now. So then if they say how should the employer have reported that? If you could pick up is more than 10 days, sorry, but like is over 7-day injury, where then you say it's reportable within 15 days. Think you understand that? So yeah, they kind of have a head on where page 27 is concerned with respect to the number of days, right? That's it. That's the 5-day. That's the 5 mark. It didn't come for more than that. Let's move on a bit. See if you have any questions. Maybe when I'm in London, I bought my tickets already. I know it, like I said, anybody know what's going on in England right now? England have a who's at our riots right now. So just when I bought my tickets last week, the riot starts Sunday. I bought my tickets Friday. I was at a riot Sunday, last week Sunday. Go on YouTube and look at it. I was at a riots just when I bought my tickets. It was even weird. A decade ago when I went to England was the same thing. The August, the August and I was at a riots, but by December it kind of calmed down. When I'm in London, I try to find the HSC. I'll take some pictures and I'll send it back to the group. Well, hopefully you all still around because remember, you all would be finished by then anyway, right? So you can take a picture of the Rose Court building and send it back to you all. I already have a picture. I don't know if you all know. I think I told you that some of the pictures you find in the course, I took them in a lesson 1, the first PowerPoint. There's a picture of a building in the first PowerPoint. I took that picture. That's a picture of IOSH, the Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, right? I don't think I have the one I had on lesson 2 with the rose code billing, which is where HSC is located. I got that from the internet, right? But I'll see what I can do to update my PowerPoints with recent pictures. All right, the last thing, if you turn your page, you'll see reporting the accident. If you turn, not reporting, say records. And remember, we already did auditing 4.3, so then this is our last page of the course, right? See if we can line it up, page 28, keeping records. I would, of course, advise when the riots are finished, later on, if anybody has to take vacation, please visit London. London is cool, right? Don't just all go to New York and Florida, right? You really don't need a visa to get to the UK. You just need some money, right? Visit London. London is popular as anything else anyway. And who knows, visit NIBOSH, visit IOSH. I have students that take me up on those challenges, right? Some people, when they go to the UK, they see it as a highlight to go and visit, IOSH or NIBOSH or whatever have you, right? All right. Like I said, it's only today I have to influence you all, right, in that way. Okay, so I'll read it from here. If you want, I can explain what we're going to read, and then I'll read it for you, right? So what we're going to read is that you must keep a record then of your accidents. I don't know if you remember, and you could remember, and you should remember the project. You'll remember reading that line in the methodology that said, I then checked the accident book. Remember that line? To see the history of accidents. Well, it's a law in the UK. Now, I think it's good practice here that you keep a record of what's happening. If you watch your book, you'll see there's a law for that, right? There's going to be here the Social Security claims and payment regulation require the employer to keep a record of the accidents. That's why in your project, when you read the sample, it said, I then check the accident book because there's a real book. And look, I put a picture of it here. Now, the only thing here is that this picture, I think the price of the book changed, right? So in Trinidad and in Guyana, we could use like a notebook, like we use like a notebook to record what's happening. But wherever I teach, I don't know if you all represent any companies here, we actually say you all should buy this book. You can get this book on Amazon. If you go on Amazon and you put accident book, the book has a name. It's called BI 510. Look at here. You may be able to spot that in your book as well. Right? BI 510 is the name of the book. Now, if you buy that book, like I tell a lot of companies, if you buy it, you'll have it for 10 years. Because you ain't have so much accident. You'll have a book probably for the rest of probably for 30 years, right? And the book is probably about, if anybody could check it for me on Amazon now, right? I think I have the price maybe on it here, but it's not too much money, right? It's less than like 100 TT for that book, right? But the beauty about the book is that you won't have to keep drawing up lines now, like, drawing up lines for 2024, drawing up lines for 2025. Plus, it's a nice book to audit. Like if an auditor come, where is your accident history? You have the book. It's a nice, global or globally used book then, right? So the law is saying keep a track of your records. And of course, you all know there are many reasons for that. You can actually trend analysis, what's happening in your company, insurance purposes, auditing purposes. What about maybe defense in a civil claim? Somebody claimed they had asthma or occupational asthma, which may be true, but when you check the accident book, you may have had the person file there that they came to your company, like they're fit for work, reveal that they had asthma from the beginning. You understand? Or they had a condition, they had a bad back from the beginning, then you had that record in the accident book, right? So I think you get it a bit. I think we said it there. The last thing is saying, if you look at it, record keepings must be kept for a minimum of 3 years. A good idea is to use the proper book and, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, like I said, companies may use a notebook, but notebooks may tend to get, defaced and lost after a time. Perhaps maybe these may be lost as well. But if you have a good one, I know it's drawn out for you, the name of the person, the location, what has happened, and there's no need to fill those things out anyway. I don't think I need to read it because exactly what I said is what you see here, right? Records are to be kept for injuries, diseases, and dangerous occurrences. 3 years. It's the law in the UK, right? Social Security claims and payment regulations. Employers must inform injured person must inform the employer, record information in the accident book. So when you read the project, I then check the accident book. Is this book that they are talking about? However, if anybody Google it now, I think the front page of that book, I think the color change, but the color scheme change, right? But it's still PI 510. It's still the name of the book anyway, right? Tell me if you're okay. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the NIBOSH National General Certificate in Occupational Safety and Health from Chapter 1 to Chapter 4 with the project included in it, right? So all your videos, which is weird, all your videos made it to YouTube. Now, we're not going to do that in the next batch, right? What I was trying to do, I was trying to get the subscription to 1,000. I think we'll get it anyway, right? But I don't believe in putting too much free content on YouTube. In years to come, we have plans to probably set up a Patreon and monetize it a bit. But we wanted to kind of flood the market, right? So that's why every Saturday, we with this batch, we decided to put your videos up, right? If you all are not going to continue safety, what I advise is you all could download the videos, right? Because like I said, we may monetize it, right? And keep them. You have your WhatsApp group, but at the same time, folks, your WhatsApp group would not be forever, right? Like in a year time, we would actually deactivate that group, right? So we'll keep you all out now because it's still 2024 for advertising purposes. Those of us who want to join in process or diploma next year, right? Or oil and gas later on this year. Yes. Masha asks, does NIBOSH have a tendency to repeat past paper questions? Well, I think from the class we have had, I think the obvious answer to that is yes, right? But you have to understand what we mean by repeat, right? They don't repeat the case study. They repeat the question. Anybody could tell me what are some famous questions? I've showed to them since time began. What are some famous topics for exam? Think about chapter 1. What is famous in chapter 1?
Moral,
legal,
legal, and financial.
Right, very good. More so there's always going to be more legal and financial on the paper. But for Masha, if it's not the same case study, but the question is still the same, like comment on the moral duty of the employer to his employees. And that really means morally means what the employer did right. So if you read the case study and he did things right, but then he comments on that, you say, in my opinion, the supervisor inducted the employee. There was a good induction program. This is seen where the supervisor inducted the employees in a 10 to 15 orientation and asked them to contact him if they have any questions. But the question is the same. Another one was famous in chapter 3. They did most famous things in chapter 3. It starts with a C.
culture.
Culture. The most famous thing in chapter 3 is culture, right? So the question is always the same. What are the negative or positive indicators? But the case study is different. It kind of sounds the same. There's always some young person. There's always an accident. There's always managers not doing the right thing, right? Okay, folks, let's talk a bit about the exam logistics that's going to follow from here. I would want to still end about 20 past 10 today to get ready for my next class, right? I mean, can I wrap up now around 20 past 10, right? All right, so logistics for exam, right? I want you to take this exam. So where we are at, we have paid for your exam. 99.9% of you, right? We have gotten through to pay. They have 2 persons on the outside still, but we explained at the beginning what has happened, right? So you've paid for the exam. Therefore, you should have gotten your confirmation. So did you get that confirmation in a week? Right? So when you look at your confirmation, if there's anything like your name is spelled wrong and stuff, please let us know. Right? I had one wrong spelling already. Right? We would correct it. The reason for they actually have a time frame for that. Mistakes happen. So I got one where somebody middle name was spelled incorrectly, right? So you get this what is confirmation, please write it out. The confirmation from NIBOSH itself telling you that, that you are signed up for the exam. So these 2 things are done. So I'm gonna put 2 ticks by them. Last week it wasn't done. Last week we were still struggling to get payments for you all to get the payments across due to the foreign exchange issue Trinidad has. And if you're in Guyana, you mightn't understand that. And if NIBOSH is looking at this, well, you mightn't understand that either. But the long and short of it is that companies are restricted as to how much purchases we can make at any given point in time for the month. So we struggle, but we have gotten through to it, right? Okay, so the next thing is going to happen now. Now, please remember, I'm talking about exam and not the project, right? We already said the project is due the 28th of August. So we focusing on the exam, right? So, so when is the exam? Just remind me again, those who got the confirmation.
Fourth of September.
September the 4th.
The 4th. And is that a Wednesday? Is it a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Okay, good. I'm pulling
At
up
11?
my thing. Oh, the 11th of September. Jeez.
No, the 4th of
No, no.
September it will be at
The 4th, right,
11
right,
a.m.
okay. Actually, my degree students, they have the exam. Yeah, the 4th of September is the exam, right? So, looking at this, right, then, listen to what I'm telling you all. You see by the 30th of August, in fact, no, probably by the 28th of August, but you see, I'm not Nibosh. I'm just telling you, around a week before the exam, they will send you the link. Yes, you get the link before, right? So take a note of it. Roughly a week before the exam, which will be Wednesday the 28th, but it could take until the Friday. They will send you the link. Nibosh will send you the link, not from the school. Remember, exams are done from Nibosh directly. Check out your inbox. It may come from something called exam OBE. Check your email out. Once you start getting it, you'll put it on the chat. You'll start putting whoever gets it first. You'll start putting it on the chat. Look, I think Nibosh sent the link. You all should check it out and see. But all will be sent the same time. So if one person gets it, the other person should get it as well, right? In the event you don't get it, please contact me, right? Now, I want you to bear something in mind here. The first week of September, which is the week of your exam, I'm not in Trinidad. I have a job in Grenada. You heard that before. I'm not told you a lot about Grenada and Guyana, right? So I'm out from the Sunday. So by the Friday then, which is the 30th of August, everybody should have gotten their link from Nibosh before. Even though I am in Grenada, actually I'm actually working. So I hope to, if you could let me know this before, like if you got your link, I think what we probably would do is call everyone by probably next week, Thursday. See if you get it, see if you get it, see if you get it. And once you confirm, I wouldn't have to worry about that in Grenada. Now I could handle it from Grenada, but I'll be teaching as well. So I could only handle that like after 4 in the evening or after 5, based on what time they drop me back anyway, right? So, but we should sort it out here. And once you get your link, so what does your link have? Your link have your student number, which you already have, by the way. They actually give you that already. I think in your confirmation, you got that, right? So they'll have your student number and they'll have a password. Yes, they'll have a password, which is actually like a pass number. Please write this out for me, student number, which you already have, but it'll be again, you'll get it again. And it have a password, but the password is like a pass number. It's like a Google code then, you know, like when you sign into a Google account, you get like a series of numbers and letters. They'll give you like a password, right? So let me finish off this and I want to explain it to you properly. So the password is going to be, you know, like capital P, common K, Y, underscore 1, 2, 5, whatever, right? So when you click this link, see if you all follow, when you click this link, they will tell you enter the username. The username is your student number. You want to take a note of that? The username is your student number. Now, please note when you're doing this the last week in August, and you're setting this up all before the day of the exam. Right? So I will actually be calling you all. I hope to do it before I leave. So that means I have to call you all in the 30th, one by one, and see if you all got through. If you could confirm on WhatsApp, very good. Right? So when you click the link, you'll see there's a space to put in your username, you put your student number there, and then there's a space to put the password. So you put in the password there. I'm not writing no password. You know why I'm not writing the password? I'm not writing a sample of a password. I made up a password here and I write it on the screen here, and a student thought that was the password. Even though I said this was just an example of a password, I just draw a straight line, right? So I just leaving it blank, right? So I put in a little asterisk here. I'll tell you why. Some students, when they put in the password, they just have an issue. The issue comes up sometimes if you copy and paste the password, but you should try. You should try to copy it and paste it because remember, it's a kind of funny password now with capital P, G, capital J, underscore, full stop, question mark, right? But you should try copy it and paste it. And if it works, very good. And if it doesn't work, you need to enter it manually. So that's what the asterisk is there for, right? It's computer generated. So normally a couple students call us and tell us the password not working. No, it does work, but you may have to enter it manually, right? I'm just thinking, you see, today's our last official class. I don't know if you wanted to meet Wednesday, not this week, the next Wednesday, the 28th, for about an hour in the evening. We can talk about some of this, and we could talk about maybe a question paper or something, which we have done before, right? Because remember the week of the exam, which is the Wednesday itself, I mean, I'm not really supposed to have any contact with you all, right? Anyway, once you enter these two things, um, you would see what is called the open book exam platform. I have a picture of it here now, but it's like, where do I find that now? And I wouldn't look for it now because it'll take some time. But what you'll find you'll have like somebody's fingers typing, right? So that's like an icon, they have somebody's finger typing. You can click onto it, and what you should see, so when you do all of that, you should see your September exam icon. You will see September the 4th, you'll see the icon, you see it mark NG open book exam, right? Open book OBE September, but the icon would not be active because remember you're setting this up the last weekend August, the weekend there before the exam. You can set it up Monday, you can set it up the first, second, third. You can set it up on the day of exam too, but what I'm really hoping for is that you set it up before. So on the day of the exam, you just log in. By the way, when you do this, it will ask you to save, so you should save it, right? You should save it. Or if you want, you could actually change the password. Or am I confusing anybody? Once you put in the password, you could save that password. Just click save. Or if you want and you don't like the digital password, you could remove the digital password. Once you enter it for the first time, and you could put a password that you like safety 123 or something. I have access to this too, and I just use their digital password. When I put it in, I just click save. So I really don't know what my digital password is. The system remembers it though, right? So you could save the digital password that they give you, or if you don't like that, you could remove it. They give you the option to change your password and put one that you choose then, right? So this is all done around the 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. You could do it on the 4th too, but it's nice to start as soon as you get the paper on the 4th of September. Tell me if you're okay with this. I want to take this off and I want to talk about the day of the exam now quickly. So this will take us, when you log in here, you can't do anything until the 4th of September. You'll see the icon, you can try to press it how much you want. The icon is inactive until the 4th of September. Look through and see if you have any questions. We have paid confirmation around the last week in August. They'll send you a link. You put in your student name, they will give you a password. You put that, very simple. You press save, you press enter, you go on the screen, you see the paper there, and you can't do nothing, so you have to wait anyway. Right? If you have any problems, contact me though. If anybody fails the project, you have to do over the project. Somebody's asking in the chat. You have to do over the project, right? If it's next year, because remember they take 2 months with results, right? So you're right, in September, October, November, your results coming out. So the next sitting may be December or January next year. It's about 1,500 TT, right? Sorry, 1,700 is it if you fail both. as to the project, it depends on what you need. If you need assistance, you need feedback or whatever, have it, the price could vary based on what you need anyway, right? Besides that, do we have any question on what you have on the slide itself here? Anybody? No? I hope you wrote it down because, like I said, that's the way forward the last week in August anyway, right? All right, so with no questions being asked on that, I'm going to take that off and let's talk about the day of the exam itself. So we're talking about now September the 4th, right? So quickly, and I might be able to write all for you all, but you could write some for yourself, right? So September the 4th, what we're going to have to look at here, I will be teaching in Grenada, right? You will have to look at what time the exam started, right? You'll have to look at the time zone. Now, the reason why I asked, the reason I'm saying that time zones has changed, right? Right now, if you Google what time it is in England now, England is 5 hours ahead. But in September, around that time, it changes, right? So I could probably Google it for you all and see what time would the paper be available. It's either going to be 6 a.m. in the morning. Right now is 6 a.m. Well, it's not 6 a.m. now, but it's 5 hours ahead now, right? So your confirmation, did your confirmation say 11 a.m. on it? Did anybody who got your confirmation already? Yeah, but you had to standardize back to, like local Caribbean, South American time, right? Right now, what I'm trying to tell you, all the time zone has changed. There are some times of the year England is 5 hours ahead of us, and there are some times of the year they are 4 hours ahead of us, right? So we could Google it. I'll put it up in the chat. I don't know it often, and I'm not going to do it now. But I know now, today, they're 5 hours ahead of us. So if now is 20 past 10, 20 past 10, I check it now, the 24 o'clock. So it'll be 20 past 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. So now it's 20 past 3 in England, right? But if it should change in September because it changes coming to Christmas, right? So then the paper will be available 7 a.m., right? So we'll confirm that and we'll let you all know. So on the day of the exam, you log on. How do you log on? You click the same link that I had erased just now. You click the link. You'd have set it up already. You'd have entered your student number, which is username. You'd have entered the password. You'd have saved that. So the icon will be active on the 4th of September. What you should do is download the paper, right? So in fact, what I should put there is click the link, right? So there should really be click the link and download the paper. Once you download the paper, you can come off the platform. Yes, you don't have to stay on the platform to do the exam. All you need is the paper and the template, right? So you download the exam paper. I just draw 2 download buttons, right? So one is for the open book exam, so you download it. And there is the form to type on. We call that the template. That's like the thing that you sort of type the questions and them on. It's called the template. So you download the template, right? And you could come off the platform. You could actually close off the platform because you have the exam paper and you have the template to type on, right? So you download the exam paper, download the template, and you can start work. You don't need to stay on the platform, right, till you're ready to submit. Tell me if you're okay with this. Click the link, download the exam, download the template. I'm going to add 2 things here. What I advise is that you all should print the exam. So that comes here. You should print the open book exam, and you all know why. Because to read on screen is very difficult, especially when you define all those points. So get into a printer, buy a printer from now. See if you have ink for it. It's supposed to be print. Doesn't look like that, right? But print the exam and then rename your template. Yes, rename the template. Please listen to these instructions. There are some people, right, like when they go to submit, they have 2 templates then. They have the one they download, which is like the blank one, and then the one they type on. And then sometimes like when they go to submit, they upload the blank template. So when you when they download the template, rename it, your name, Vincent, put your student number, open book exam. I'll say that again. I had some students when it was time to submit. When you browse your desktop when they browse the desktop, like they had two templates then. They had the template they type on and they had the original blank template. So when they upload template, what upload was the blank template. Now we do not see this platform. That's another thing here. This is NIBOSH platform. So we don't see what you're doing. We only see when results may come back that it had no submission. But the students say, yeah, we submit, but have no submission. Right? So then we started inquiring well, what's happening. And then it turned out that many times, about 3 times in a row, different classes, different batches over the last 10 years now, right? I had a diploma student and the man worked the diploma exam must be over 10 days. 10 days he worked, night and day, and he upload the blank template, right? So you see the thing here, print the exam, rename your template. Tell me if you're okay with that, and we can move on from there. Other than that, from here now is just to choose your questions, begin working, we talked about different techniques, right? Well, I mean, like, you all know my technique is to read the questions first, come up with an answer plan. Like if the question said, what are 10 indicators, negative safety indicators, I would think of the 10 first. I'll write them down on a sheet first, and then I'll construct a sentence out of them, right? So I will kind of leave this here because we kind of covered this here for exam and thing already, right? This is all about technique. The technique is, what did managers do wrong? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying it for the second time. If the question say, comment on how effective managers were, I do not write 1 point at a time. I think I mentioned that to you before, right? I'll get a sheet of paper. If the question is comment on what managers did wrong, I would write out on a blank sheet of paper like this. I would write out 10 things managers could do wrong. Lack of supervision, lack of communication, lack of resources, lack of risk assessments, lack of disciplinary procedures, lack of cooperation and consultation. I will get 10 answers one time. That's my technique. And then what I do, I just go to the case study to back it up. You all understand that? So I don't write one and come back and think. Write an next one. No, I don't do that. Right? If a question is worth 15 marks, 15 negatives, 50 indicators, I write it on 15 fastener and with a pencil. 50 negative indicators, lack of, high accident rate, high staff turnover, sickness, high injuries, poor communication. And then I am like a fisherman. I go into the case study to back up my points, but I already know my point. I know my answer. So that's why I just finish fast. I tell you, if you all do this technique, you'll finish fast. And if you don't know the 15, go and Google it or check your textbook. Right? Check your textbook. What are some negative safety indicators? They say something like high number of complaints, right? So when I have the answer, and you all know what I do, I type a line, and I told you this before, I will type a line. The negative indicators at company XYZ is as follows, and I copy and paste that line 10 times, 10 times, 15 times. So by the time I'm ready to come to that point, I'd already have a negative safety indicator company XYZ is a high staff turnover. So I just go in now to the case study to find where it have employees leaving. That's my technique, right? Again, I don't do one and then stop and think, take a drink, take a eat. No, I write out all one time. And if I don't get all, that's why it's called an open book exam. I go in the book, look for some, I go and Google some, but I have something called an answer plan, right? With the answers there. If when I read in the case study, I see something that I didn't think about, let's say you're reading the case study and it said that the manager was only seen when he arrived and when he left. But I didn't have that in my 15, but I would take it still. I would put a negative safety indicator is managers was not visible. So I'll probably replace one that I have here with that one from the case study. And I'll say, in my opinion, a negative safety indicator is poor leadership from management. And then I said, this is seen in the case study where I go back in the passage and I put where they said the manager was only seen when he arrived and when he left. If you do that technique, you're finishing by 4 o'clock in the evening. How I know that? Because I finish by 4 o'clock in the evening. Right? if you start to do, one at a time and think and one at a time, and then you're on your phone, you're messaging your girlfriend, you're messaging your boyfriend, you'll be there whole night. There are people that be in exam whole nights, and I just wonder what they just be doing. I told you that before. That people ask them like when they submit, they say 4 o'clock in the morning. Right? If you know what you're doing, these questions not hard, people. These questions not hard. I'm trying to share one with you while I'm talking so I could psychologically brainwash you. But I don't have one. Let me see if I have one for you all. I have one for my degree students. I could find one for you all, that's sure. But and you all know past papers, we have been doing them quite a lot. Psychologically the questions are not hard. Ooh, what happened there? Jesus. I try it out. I seen it and when I tick in it, it not ticking, right? Yes, it wasn't. I was diploma student. I wonder why this is even a visual tick though. So it's some craziness sometimes, yes. Right, can you all see that passive in the background? Or do I have to bring it up still? Let me see if I can share it with you all. Well, actually, we have Daryl in the background now. Are you all seeing this one in the background? Duty of the employer, something like that? Yeah. Okay, so what I was telling you all, right? Like my technique, right, which is where I reach in the thing, right? My technique, if they say duty of the employer to employee, right? They want what general duties of the employer to the employee are likely to have been breached. 10 marks, I gonna get 10. I write it down 10 first. I wanna say write it, folks. I'm not writing it in full sentence, right? If you wonder how to get 10 here, for those of us who know section 2 only have 5 duties. So how do you get 10? You have to double up. Like section 2A. So I just write it in a paper, section 2A. I just writing it out like that. You're supposed to provide safe plans and safe system of work. So that's my answer plan. My answer plan is taking me 10 minutes to write out. But I know I'm going to write a point on the company not providing safe plans and safe systems of work. That's 2A, right? I'll get 2 breaches where they didn't provide safe plans, or maybe one in safe plans and one in safe systems of work. I know I'm going to talk about section 22C. Anybody know what section 22C is? Shame. Another exam coming up, right? Section 22C is a company failed to provide information, training, instruction, and supervision. So I know I'm looking for that. I know I'm going to write a point and say, in my opinion, the company broke section 22C in that they failed to provide training. And I just go, see, I write that already. When I didn't write it here, I write it mentally. When I type it on the paper, I write that mentally already, that the company broke section 22C. And I just go in the case study here, like a fisherman, I just go in to see where they didn't provide training. That's how to finish this exam fast. You catch the technique? Anybody know what's 22D? And I doubling it up because if this is 4, it's like if I get 4 here, it's 10. If I could get the S there is supervision, the company didn't provide supervision. I could get 4 there. Anybody know what's section 22D? I feel a lot of repeating.
Safe workplace.
Safe workplace, safe access and egress. So I already know it. So that's why I call an answer plan. Look how quick it is to write an answer plan. You see, I'm not thinking in the question. I'm thinking before I do the question. Right? 22C, safe access. You can see that one there. 22C, safe access and egress. Right? Sorry, that's 22D, my mistake. 22D, safe access egress. I already know I'm going to write something on that. And all I'm going up here for to see where they didn't have safe access and egress. Right? But I already construct my line. My answer is already, in my opinion, the employer broke section 22D in that they failed to provide safe access and egress. Like a fisherman looking for fishes, I just looking for the line that say where it have, safe access and egress. Right? Remember the technique. You forget everything else. Remember, get some paper. Buy some paper. Right? Buy some, I mean, the other day computer paper. Buy some file pages. Right? All right, folks, I want to go back. I can't, it's out of time. Said that I stopped long time already. But the last thing I'll share on is that when you have finished the exam, you have to click back the link. Yeah, you have to upload your paper back to the same link, right? So when you finish the exam, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you click the link, there's a submit button, you're going to click that. Now, sometimes you don't see the submit button because they're going to ask you to agree to their terms and conditions for plagiarism. You must click yes to that. If you don't click yes to that, I don't think the submit button shows up. But once you agree to the terms and conditions of plagiarism, meaning they're going to run your paper through like a plagiarism software, the submit button will come up. Once you click that, they give you the option to browse your desktop. And that's what you do. You browse your desktop. By the way, here, this submission must be in PDF today. So if you don't have a PDF converter, just try to get that done. You must convert to a PDF. It only takes PDF submission. Please remember this, because if it's 5 a.m. in the morning and you're trying to upload, you'll be messaging the group. How did you submit? And then you don't have a PDF converter. Don't let these things be the reason why you didn't pass the exam. That's why we talk about it from now. Buy your printer, download a good PDF downloader. Once you browse where you have it, hopefully, like I said, you would have renamed it. You rename it, Daryl, and you put your student number. You upload, and that's the end of it. That's the end of the exam there. From there, they will say thank you, and we will be in contact with you to do your closing interview. The closing interview begins a week after the exam, and I will call you to schedule that one-on-one. You have an interview, a 15-minute interview as to how you got the exam done. They send a couple of questions back for me to ask you, and then we send it back to NEBOSH anyway, right? But that's about it in terms of logistics. Once you finish, you click back the same link, agree to the terms and conditions, the submit button would appear, browse wherever you have it in your desktop, whatever you name it back, please put your name and your student number. That should be a good thing, and you don't upload the blank template, right? Put your name and your student number. Put number here, but it was actually going to be name, right? So I'll put name on top. Name and number. Of course, you must convert to a PDF, and then it will take your submission. And that's a wrap there for today, right? So officially, we have been finished since about 10 o'clock, but we kind of went through the logistics here on air. There's a document to this. I'll email that to you as well. But like I said, we normally discuss it with the students to see, if you'll have any concerns anyway, right? Okay, so we'll stop the recording here, just about 10:31, which means that I'm a bit over my time, right?